Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry if it's really echoey. There's just something I kind of just want to talk about really quick because I was gone for a minute. I was gone for a long time and I kind of just want to provide context as to why. For some of you guys, probably didn't even notice I was gone because I was still uploading some stuff that I had backed up, right? I had a few anime reactions, Jujutsu Kaisen, Arcane backed up, pre-recorded before I moved from college. So the last week of college, I had the worst friend breakup of my life. So yeah, my friend didn't die. My best friend didn't die. We just stopped being friends. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because now this video is not about her at all, okay? And I just want that to be right on the air because something she was really adamant about. She was like, don't tell anyone about this. Don't talk about this. And the way I work through my trauma, the way I work through particularly tough situations is I need to talk about it. I need it out. I need it to be said, you know what I mean? Like it just has to be out. I cannot keep it in my brain because rumination. If you keep something that you feel is traumatic in your brain, it ruminates and it becomes like dead ass, like legit trauma, right? So you kind of have to talk about it. And now this is a problem I don't think is like so serious I need to see like a therapist or something. It's just a annoying issue. I only want to spend like 5 minutes tops talking about the situation and how things went down. And then I want to use the rest of the video to talk about myself, which this video is about. It's about myself and the things I learned and how even the worst of situations turn out to be something so necessary, but in the moment you never realize how necessary it is.
It's as if the person you loved, the one you trusted, just took a mask off, revealing who they've really been this whole time. Your heart breaks and the pain is so raw, so real, so all-consuming, you could barely breathe. You feel like you got sucker punched. Nothing makes sense. So you frantically start questioning everything, including yourself. How did this happen? How did I not know? The shock, the lies, the deception. You feel so rejected, so abandoned, so alone. You don't know what to think. You don't know what to feel. You don't know what to do. The only thing you know for sure is that life will never be the same. That's what it feels like to be blindsided by betrayal. How do I know? Because that's what happened to me.
So for starters, me and this friend have been best friends for 10 years now. Now, it's been a rocky road. You know, we haven't always been the best of best friends, right? So there's no way to really tell this story without telling what kind of friend I am. So I'm the kind of person who takes friendship really, really seriously. And if we're gonna be friends, you have to be honest with me. There's a certain level of loyalty I expect, and there's conversation that I expect. Those are kind of my rules. I need loyalty. I need to be able to rely on you mentally, right? Like if you're in a room with say one person who doesn't like me, I need to know in the back of my head that you're not talking shit about me. Like at the very least, I need to feel secure in the fact that I know you're not gonna be laughing with the people in the room talking shit about me. That's like bare minimum what I need and bare minimum kind of what I mean by loyalty. And then communication, so fucking important to me. Because if ever there's an issue, I try to make the friend environment where you don't have to ruminate, right? You don't have to think, are we good? Is there a problem? And I try my hardest not to have an attitude without explaining why I'm upset or something like that. You know what I mean? Because those are my pet peeves. And I'm a strong believer of like, do unto others what you want done to you, whatever, right? So I try to lead by example in friendships, right? And I'm the type of person where it's kind of a paradox. I will call you out if you make me feel a certain way. If you do something shitty, I'll call you out. If you make me feel like a piece of shit, I'll call you out. I am not afraid to call you out, but it's a paradox because it'll take me a couple days. And that's just the way my own trauma works. That's the way my trauma manifests itself, because in my household, if a parent did something wrong to you, you were not allowed to call the parent out. Hey, that was wrong. I didn't like that. Right? You weren't allowed to really express yourself or express your own feelings, which is why I enjoyed my friendships so much. And I don't know what the right word is. I had these expectations of communication, especially when it came to feelings, because I just did not have that in my household. So I took that so near and dear to my heart, and I took it so seriously. If you're ever feeling like I did something to fucking piss you off, please tell me. And it can be addressed and it can be squashed. Because another thing that I hate is being in a situation where I'm giggling and I'm laughing with you and you feel some type of way over something I did. Say you misheard me and you thought I was talking shit about you to somebody, right? Say you were on your way to the bathroom and what you heard me say was, she smells bad or something like that, right? So then you come back from the bathroom with this notion that I said you smell bad, which I never said, but you thought you heard me say that, right? So we finish our dinner or whatever, and you're just angry as fuck, right? You have this rumination in your head that I fucking said you smell bad, even though that's not what I said, right? So you have this pissed off, pissy attitude, and I'm like, oh fuck, let me try and cheer you up. I'm laughing and kikiing with you, right? All the while you're holding this resentment in, right? And then come to find out, you thought I said some shit I didn't say, right? And who knows when I would figure that out, that you thought I said that, and that's why you were upset that day. I hate shit like that. So I try my hardest to make an environment where all of my friends feel really safe to just be like, hey bro, you said I smell bad, and that's not fucking cool. Never fucking say that shit again. If you don't like the way I smell, tell me in a nice way and don't say it behind my back, right? I try and have an environment where shit like that happens, because if you think that I fucking said you smell bad, I'm a nice, well, I consider myself a nice person. I think I am, but anytime somebody says they are, they're probably all right. But I consider myself a pretty nice, empathetic, nice fucking friend. I think I am. I try to be super genuine with all of my friends and stuff. I think I'm pretty cool and chill. So just come to me, right? Like 9 times out of 10, if it's something bad you heard about me, it's a fucking misunderstanding. And so you come from the bathroom thinking I said you smelled bad on your way there. Just be like, hey, what did you say when I was on my way there? Did you say I smell bad? That's what I heard. Be like, no, I said that smells bad. That fucking garbage that we're sitting right next to. Boom. You could have avoided an entire lunch or dinner or whatever of you having an attitude. All you had to do was just say, hey, let's clear this up right now. I fucking hate misunderstandings. So I've been friends with this particular friend for 10 years, right? And like I said, I'm the type of friend who will call you out, and it takes me a couple days to call you out on something that pissed me off. And then in rare cases, it'll take me a month. And why this happens is because in that month, that thing you did that hurt me so bad, I'm trying to forget about it and move on, because this is an unhealthy habit I have. I try to get over things myself, right? And so it's kind of a double standard. Like, I would prefer if my friends would tell me what's bothering them immediately, while at the same time, the way some of my trauma works because of my household, if something happens to me where I'm embarrassed, like you embarrass me in public, you say my shirt smells bad or something like that, you embarrass me in public, you yell at me, you do something I don't like, I'll try and trivialize it in my brain. Oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. And I'll try and trivialize it for, sometimes it's days, and in rare cases it's months. Well, not months, plural, but like maybe a month. I'm trying to trivialize it and get over it myself. But then I just can't, and I end up saying something. I'm pretty good at acting like nothing's wrong with me. I'm pretty good at I have a really good temperament. And again, that's something I can thank my household for, because I don't know, I just grew up with people who would just say the rudest shit, whatever's on their mind, just immediately and it hurts your feelings, but it was just super hard to be vulnerable in my household, pretty much where I grew up, right? So all of this is baggage that I carry with me into every relationship that I'm in, right? And I'm working through it, obviously. So this is just who I am as a friend, right? That's what you'd expect from me as a friend. This friend for 10 years that I had was on the more sensitive side. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I fucking love sensitive people. But I guess what I underestimated was how sensitive of a friend they were. Very sensitive. So what they would talk about as like a vulnerability that they had was anger issues, right? They were actively working on their anger issues. By this, I mean that they would get mad and say something. We'll call them Beth, just to make this easier. Beth would get really mad and say something she regrets during like a tense moment or like in the heat of the moment. Beth would say some like super fucking aggressive and like rude shit that you would take to heart. And not just normal shit, like you would open up to her. This one example I can think of, and Beth, if you're watching this, you know your real name. Sorry to bring this up because this might trigger you. And I don't even, that's the thing. Like, I don't even think I should be apologizing about this, but this is something we talked over. We're over and it's good, right? I opened up to Beth a couple weeks before this particular incident happened. And I was like, oh my God, Beth, I'm so upset. I have straight C's right now. I'm fucking freaking out. I can't do anything right. Blah, 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 blah. And Beth was consoling me over the phone. She's like, oh, it's okay. You're going to be fine. You can bring up the grades, whatever. That the day of the incident, me and Beth were going, back and forth, having a pretend argument. And those are always a bad idea because somebody always says something that strikes a little too close to home. I can't fucking remember for the life of me what I said, but it was probably something stupid in a stupid voice, which Beth really doesn't like if you use like mocking tones. And so I was like, yeah, well, at least I can, it was something stupid, right? It was something like, oh, at least I could drink water with my nostril. Like, it was something so ridiculous and outlandish, but I guess Beth just got tired of the back and forth, which I thought it was funny. I thought we were having fun. And then Beth says, look who's talking, straight C's. And I was just like, what the fuck? Immediately hung up the phone. And that's something that I remembered just all my life. Like, this is something that happened when we were 16 or something, maybe 15, but I remembered it so long because it just, like, what warranted that? We were joking around. What would compel you to say that? Like, it was just shocking and so off-putting. And that's another thing about me. I have a really fucking good memory. And so with things like that, I remember them forever. And it's not even that I'm actively holding a grudge. It's just that the human brain was designed to pick up patterns. And so I would keep these tabs on the fucked up shit Beth would say to me because it would hurt me. And then on top of that, I have a problem with rumination. I think too much. I would just be thinking back on what Beth said and I'd be trying to get over it. And in that particular instance, I think it took me a couple days to be like, hey bro, what you said about the straight C's, that was fucked up. And Beth was like, I know, defensiveness, woo, like, you said this or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we were joking though, bro. Like, if that stupid joke, like, hit some subconscious thing that you were, insecure about that I didn't know about, I'm sorry. And like, I wish you would have said that. Of course, 14-year-old me didn't have the capacity to say all this, but 14, 15-year-old me was just like, hey bro, that was kind of fucked up. And Beth was like, oh yeah, well, we both said some bullshit to each other. We shouldn't have, been fake arguing in the first place. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess. So then that was put to rest, right? But then something else would happen, and then something else would happen, and something else would happen. And so there was just all of this stuff building up, and I was like, I have a really good fucking memory. So throughout my process of, trying to lead by example, continuing to call my friends out when they say something that hurts me, throughout my doing that, this Beth Beth wrote me a letter on Christmas. Hey, thank you so much for, like not giving up on me. Thank you for always calling me out. Thanks for confronting me when I hurt your feelings. You've helped me grow. You made me a better person. Like throughout my relationship with you, you've made me a better person by pretty much your methods, right? And so I was like, okay, yeah, cool. Because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a better person. So I'm glad you could, you find yourself being a better person too. And I still have that letter. Okay, I still have it. Our relationship came to a screeching fucking halt recently when this friend, Beth, met her boyfriend. We'll say his name is George. When Beth met George, it was super cool and it was super fun. This was one of the best summers of my life, right? I persuaded Beth to talk to George. I gave Beth the confidence she needed to talk to George. I went with her when they met. We all met at the same day. We all talked to each other. It was cool. It was chill. Beth and George hit it off immediately. And, there was some double date type shit. It's not even worth getting into. But Beth and George hit it off. They made a nice couple, whatever. And even George and I, we had a really good relationship. It was funny. It was fun. And Beth told me at some point, George told her, hey, I could really see myself being friends with Aaliyah. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. Because George was the type of person who kept to himself, didn't have many friends, etc. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really sweet. Nice. So I don't know what the fuck happened, but somewhere along the line, there was just this switch. George was a complete fucking mess. George just became a mess. He was rude to Beth first, and then he was still somewhat nice to me and our other friend or whatever. But George was fucking terrible to Beth. George made several death threats because Beth wouldn't do what he wanted. George he would talk so nasty to her. George was just a piece of garbage out of nowhere. And so of course, me and our other mutual friend were like, okay, we don't fucking like George no more. George is a piece of shit. He's literally trying to he's emotionally manipulating you to do what he wants. That's why he keeps giving you death threats. I saw this TikTok where this guy was like, oh yeah, sometimes men will pretend to have all of these issues, especially if you're the nurturing type, because they know you'll eat that up and you'll try and fucking fix those issues. And they'll just make up shit and then they'll pretend like this thing is healed so you feel the validation that, oh, it's working, I'm fixing him. But anytime they need you to do something, they'll just pull the I'm broken card and they'll take advantage of your nurturing nature, pretty much. And I definitely think this is what George is doing. And at the same time, Beth is just so nurturing. Beth was the mom friend, right? Beth would take care of me, our mutual friend. Beth was just great. She was the mom friend. So the nurturing was always there. And then Beth loves fixing things. Beth loves problem solving. That's just who she is, So of course, this man who's the embodiment of a problem, Beth was like, oh yeah, let me get my tools. Let me fucking fix this here. So Beth was trying to fix him. And I was there too. As a psychologist, I was like, okay, let me help. Like, let me see, like, maybe he's doing this because of this. Maybe he's doing this because of this. Maybe he's doing this because of this. But I have learned throughout this process that men will tell you who they are. And when men tell you who they are, you'd be damned if you don't listen. Because time and time again, George would be like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm not gonna change. I can't change. I won't. This is who I am. I'm a piece of shit. And he would say stuff like that. And, Beth would be like, no, you're not. You can choose to change. You just have to want it for yourself. And George would be like, no, I can't. This is who I am. And so that to me just tells me that he enjoyed who he was, the way he was. He enjoyed feeling sorry for himself, sulking in the nastiness that was his personality. He enjoyed it because anybody who doesn't enjoy suffering would do something to stop the suffering. That's just logic. That's just how that goes. Or it's like the TikToker said, and it was just him pulling problems out of a hat. I have this problem, just to keep Beth engaged on fixing his little problems. And I guess you'd have to say that Beth was attracted to that toxic dynamic. She had to have been, to keep putting up with it, because me and the mutual friend told her to get out of that so soon, so quick when he started that. The first death threat, we were like, okay, get out of that. That is not a good relationship. He is manipulating you. He wants you to do what he wants. And you know, Beth was like, oh yeah, I know, I got this. He's not gonna make me do shit. I got this. And I was like, yeah. Cause Beth fought for him, pretty much, right? And it's toxic in hindsight, but I understand not wanting to have any sunk costs, basically. Beth poured all of this love into this person, and they snapped one day and just turned into somebody else. And so I understand the hesitance with wanting to drop this person immediately, right? When they're being so rude to you and trying to use death threats to make you do what they want and stuff, right? So then George's attitude and his terrible behavior extended to us, me and the mutual friend. It was like a switch. Like, I don't know where it came from. I was like, whoa, George, like, you good? We used to be good. Like, something wrong? Like, what's going on? And George was just terrible. So first it started off with like little benign random shit, like, well, look at how you're dressed. Nice shoes. You know, like, what are you wearing? Shit like that. And it's like, like, that was fucking rude, but okay. And then it got racist, right? So I'm like the only black friend in this friend group, right? Which you already know. I'm the only fucking black friend, right? And so out of nowhere, George got racist. Time and time again, I've had a close friend tell me, oh yeah, something a guy would do. And I explained the situation to that friend. She said, it sounds to me like George was trying to isolate you away from Beth. And the reason for that was that Beth was this super nurturing, super kind person. And Beth really trusted my opinion. And so whenever I didn't like something, I'd be like, hey, this is my opinion on this. This is, you know, this looks bad. This seems bad, right? So I could just imagine Beth would go to George and be like, hey, when you did this, Aaliyah informed me, and like, you know, we were talking about this, and yeah, this was fucked up that you did this. And so he's like, this Aaliyah bitch is ruining my relationship. I don't like that. No, we need to put an end to that. This Aaliyah bitch is going crazy. No, not in my relationship. I need to separate the brains behind why Beth is saying all of this stuff to me. And Beth has been on my ass trying to keep me in check more recently. And I think it's because Aaliyah is telling Beth all of this stuff to stop doing this, and that this is a problem, and that this is pathology and whatnot, right? So he decided to isolate me, and that's what he did to keep Beth's attention on him, to keep Beth all to himself, to isolate Beth from her friends, me and the mutual friend. He started being a dick to me and that mutual friend. But the way my fucking trauma works is, if it's something that I can change and you're rude to me about it, I don't fucking care. For example, this one day we were all hanging out, me, Beth, George, whoever else was there, and George said something about my pants. George was like, oh yeah, those fucking flooded jeans or whatever the fuck. I can't remember what he said at all, but George said something about my pants, and it was really fucking rude. And there's like a rule: if you can't change it in 5 seconds, don't tell somebody about it, right? So like, if there's something on my tooth, tell me, oh yeah, Aaliyah, there's something on your tooth, and then I'll wipe it off and we're good, right? If I'm wearing a stupid outfit and I can't change it in 5 seconds, that's cruel, right? To point it out that you don't like my outfit or whatever. So he told me something about my pants or something, or like there was a stain on my pants, something with my pants, and I was like, okay. You know, it didn't bother me that much, and he was just super rude. But what does bother me is shit I cannot change, such as my skin color. So it started when me and George were still good. George said a few microaggressive things, right? He said there was like weave on the floor, right? There was like the fake weave, fake hair on the floor. And George was like, look, Aaliyah, it's your hair. Microaggressive, not that bad. I even laughed. I was like, very original, right? Then we were on the phone and there was this joke between my friend group called Which One Do You Want? Long story short, there was this porno, this three-way, okay, never mind. Just know that there's this inside joke called Which One Do You Want, right? And so we were on the phone and me, George, and Beth were just talking three-way, ha ha ha, he he he. And I was like, which one do you want? Like referring to me and Beth, kinda, right? As a joke. And he's like, the one with the real hair. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of microaggressive there. And Beth was just like, don't say that. And then it was it. I was like, that's an underwhelming response, but okay, whatever. Like, it didn't hurt my feelings that much, you know. It was just like, you know, it was just like a little chip on my shoulder. I was like, that didn't feel good to hear, but that didn't hurt my feelings that much. That's fine, right? It's not fine, but compared to what's coming up, that's not even nothing to be upset about. Fast forward to after a couple of George's death threats, you know, when things were getting really, really bad, George, we were all at this restaurant and Beth got up to use the bathroom and I was sitting, you know, there was this double date situation. I was just sitting by this guy that, you know, I was kind of talking to or whatever, whatever. We'll call him Sam. No, we'll call him Tucker. Okay, so it was me sitting next to Tucker, Beth, George. Beth got up to use the bathroom, so it was just George, me and Tucker. Me and Tucker were talking, whatever, it was fine, it was cool. George looks up from his phone, like maybe once every 40 seconds. He's not engaged in the conversation or with us at all. So out of nowhere, he looks up from his phone and he's like, Aaliyah, you and Tucker, you guys are like black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. And it was funny because Tucker is Asian and I'm black. So black and yellow, get it? So funny. And that's another thing. Building up to this moment, George started saying like little racist jokes, but like not even jokes. His racist joke was to just say black randomly. Like we'd be talking about like something interesting, an entire dialogue, and then out of nowhere, George would hop in the chat, black, and then leave. And it was like, what? And he did this several times, and it was just like, okay, anyways, right? And then it all builds up to this moment, right? With us in this restaurant, black and yellow, right? So me and Tucker are like, good one, ha ha ha, right? So then he looks back down at his phone, whatever. Me and Tucker are just talking, shooting the shit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, like, if I was any Marvel character, I'd want to be Gamora. Of course, I'd have to dye my skin green. And Tucker looks up from his phone. Yeah, turn your skin from one shit color to another shit color. And it was just like, it was like, where's the joke? No, like seriously, where is the joke? Like, that's not even funny. That's not even a black joke. That's just you being racist. That's just you being an asshole, you being racist, period. Where's the joke? Oh wow, my shoulders have been up that whole time. That's how tense I am right now. But seriously, where's the joke? Did you guys hear a joke in that? No, me neither. There was no joke. It was just a racist statement. And so I was like, and again, like my trauma works, when I hear something hurtful, I just sit with it for a moment. It ruminates. And that's it. Like, I am the worst at clapbacks. I'm the worst at like being witty and snappy and like on the fly and on the flip of the tongue or whatever the fuck. I can't do that stuff. Because when I hear something that shocks me or something hurtful, or it shocks me because it's hurtful, it just sits in my mind and it ruminates and it paralyzes me. I can't say anything. So I didn't say anything, and I was just like, me and Tucker were just like, right, so anyways, and then we just started talking again. Again, probably 40 seconds later, or maybe a minute or two later, looks up from his phone, Aaliyah, you know what your skin reminds me of? And I'm like, what, chocolate? Tucker's like, what, mocha? No, I'm like, what, caramel? And he's like, no, more like a burnt chocolate chip on a black chocolate cookie. Looks back down at his phone. And I'm like, and he said that like 10 seconds before Beth came out of the bathroom. Beth comes out of the bathroom. We're all awkwardly silent. We're like, I'm just in fucking shock. And I'm like, yikes, okay. I got nothing to say. I was just like, so then it's awkward, right? And again, like I explained, I had to hold this in for a while. And I had to hold it in for a while because of my trauma, and also because there was two instances, I can only remember one off the top of my head, where, what's his name that I gave him? George said or did something that I didn't like, and I told Beth about it, and she kind of made excuses for him. Well, if you think about it, like he had a long day and whatever, right? Two times prior. So I was like, if I tell Beth about this racist stuff that he said to me and she excuses it, I'm not going to be her friend anymore. I'm done talking to her. That's it. And so that gave me this anxiety and this fear. Oh my God, I'm going to tell her about it and we're going to stop being friends, because I just knew in my heart, I knew in my head and I knew in my heart that she was going to excuse it. I knew she was going to excuse. I was like, I know for a fact Beth is going to like find some way to excuse what he said. I know it. And then there was like me gaslighting myself, like, oh, maybe it's just a joke. Maybe it was funny. Maybe it was, am I thinking too much about this? Is this too much? And let me just pause everything right now to say that if you're ever in a situation like this, do not hesitate to fucking tell your friend that their boyfriend is a piece of trash. Do not ever hesitate to tell your friends exactly what the boyfriend said to them. And do not hesitate to stand up for yourself and draw a line in the sand, make that boundary and say, I will not hang out with you guys. You need to figure out why it is that you're dating this guy. And while you do that, I will not be in the picture because I cannot be around him. And it's making me feel a little different about you if you don't see anything wrong with what he said, or if you don't somehow make him stop, or I don't fucking know. But I refuse to be around the two of you, and that's that. Don't hesitate to fucking stand up for yourself, because that is my only regret with this situation, that I fucking hesitated and I waited a month or two still hanging out with him, still having to smile in everybody's faces and oh my God, yay, it's so fun, we're having so much fun. All the while ruminating all of this shit that he said in the back of my head, like, this guy is fucking racist. He's racist. He is. That's something that pisses me off about this situation so much. The amount of gaslighting that I did to myself and that Beth did to me, that is one of the biggest reasons why I feel like I have to talk about this, because otherwise I'd just be ruminating and thinking about it forever. Because that's how gaslighting works. It makes you question your own reality. Anyway, let me finish the story before I get into that. So one day I just couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, hey, Beth, I have to talk to you. I don't like George. I can't. Beth is like, why? Why not? And I'm like, well, George is very disrespectful in many ways. And Beth is like, biggest red flag I've ever heard in my life. I feel like your relationship with him should be separate from my relationship with him. Mind you, this is prior to me explaining the racism that he did, right? I just told her he's disrespectful. And the only examples I gave were the two that were previously discussed where she, made excuses for him. So that's for a little context, right? And I was like, but even with that context, it's like, I've never heard of a friend saying that before, especially not someone who claims to be somebody's best friend. Your relationship with my boyfriend should be separate from my relationship from him? Like, it makes sense. Like, on paper, that makes sense. Like, duh, yeah, it's not like I'm fucking him, or it's not like I'm involved with him. It's not like I'm gonna make out with him. Of course they should be separate. But you saying that is basically you green-lighting your boyfriend disrespecting me. Now, it was before I told you about the racism stuff. Yeah, but still, what does that say about you as a friend? That you could sit there and let your boyfriend disrespect your friend because the relationship should be separate. How does that make me feel valued as a friend? How does that make me feel like worth anything? Like, it's just, it can't coexist. Hey, I get that my boyfriend's disrespecting you, but like, that's your problem with him. That's not my problem with him. Oh, so fuck me, I guess. I guess I ain't shit for real, right?
My issue is the women that I'm friends, women in general, it seems like don't really take other women serious because we're all seeing ourselves as sidekicks, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm saying is, you're friends with a girl, right? If she gets a boyfriend, that boyfriend is going to become her main priority. And you are now the side character with your female friend. So I feel like a big reason why people crave why women are craving relationships is because we want to feel like somebody important, right? Everybody wants to feel like somebody important. And it seems like that's the only way to go because platonic friendship is not taken serious. Only relationships are taken serious. You've seen the girls that get online and say, if I'm with my friends and my man call me, I'm gone. Like, do you, like, your friend should be just as important as the man.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you what he said to me, and if you so much as fix your lips to make an excuse for him, this conversation is over and will never be brought up again. And I'm probably just not gonna speak for a while, for like a long ass time. And she's like, I promise I won't excuse him. I'll just fucking hear you out. And I'm like, okay. And I told her, chocolate chip cookie, black and yellow, shit skin. Oh my God, he said that? Yeah, he said that. When you went to the bathroom, he said that. That leaves such a bad taste in my mouth, especially the shit skin thing. That's so disgusting. Oh my goodness. And I was like, okay, like, that's who he is. That's what you're dating. So now what? And then I'll admit, I made a mistake. I told her, hey, don't talk to him about this. Because actually, I take that back. Maybe it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. I told her, hey, don't talk to him about this, right? Don't tell him I told you anything about him being racist. Don't, because it's gonna make a fucking catastrophe, which it did because she tells him. After we were talking for about 40 minutes about this, she told him everything I said. That I think he's disrespectful and racist. And immediately he blows up my phone. What the fuck are you telling Beth? You dumb bitch. I'm not racist or disrespectful. I'm not racist or disrespectful, you dumb black bitch. Like, he didn't say that, but he's like, are you fucking stupid? Get over yourself. I'm not racist or disrespectful. Leave Beth alone. How does Beth dating me have anything to do with you? I don't know. Maybe it's because Beth says we're best friends. Maybe that. Maybe me and Beth being best friends. So I was like, Beth, I sent her screenshots of what he said. I am done with this conversation. And she's like, no, I just told him because I was starting to panic and he grounds me and I wasn't like, but from my perspective, she was snitching on me. Especially how she explained it. I was like, what did you say to him verbatim? She's like, I told him that I don't think Aaliyah wants to be my friend anymore because I'm dating you. That's why? That's why? It's not because he's racist and disrespectful? So now it's what, me being jealous that you're dating someone? I was like, okay, I'm taking 20. Like, no. And she was like, I'm having a panic attack now and whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry to hear that, but I need to, no. So that weekend, she picked me up and we went to get food and we talked about the problem. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Like, he said that stuff to you and woo. And she was basically just repeating everything that I was telling her. She was just saying everything I wanted to hear when she picked me up. She was like, he's trying to make me lose a friend and I'm not okay with that. And I was like, that sounds really fucking good. But it was my words that I said to her when I first brought everything up. So I was like, where are her original thoughts though? You know, so that was a red flag already. And I was like, wow, okay, well, I'll choose to believe in it. Yeah, it's another thing about me. I'm pretty fucking gullible as a friend. And I may not be the most forgiving person, but I love to move forward. I think that's a good way to put it. I love to address a problem. Hey, this is a problem, and there's a pattern of you doing problems like this, and I can tell you each and every one, just for your awareness. So fix that if you want, or if you don't fix it, at least just don't harm me with this bad pattern that you have. That's kind of how I operate in friendships. And so Beth drops me off at home or whatever, and I have this pretty good feeling, but at the same time I have this ominous feeling in the pit of my heart, and I'm like, something isn't right. And something wasn't right. Beth didn't talk to me for a couple weeks after that, and I was like, it's like, what's going on? So then I told Beth, and I was looking at Snapchat and Instagram, and Beth was still hanging out with the boyfriend, lovey-dovey George, right? Lovey-dovey as if nothing ever happened, and she wasn't talking to me at all. So I was like, and I admit this was bad of me, I guess. It was kind of bad of me. I was like, hey, Beth, if you decided that, you know, your relationship with George was more important to you than your relationship with me, I would have just appreciated that you said that. You know, I see that you guys are hanging out. You haven't talked to me in 2 weeks. I see that you guys are still hanging out. And the thing is, me and Beth live really close to each other, right? So it could have happened had anybody wanted it to, right? Hey, I see you two are still hanging out, and, you know, I'm just over here looking stupid. So, like, did you decide that your relationship with him was more important? And also, why wouldn't you just tell me that? Beth is like, no, I just wasn't on my phone. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, I do that too. So that's like good. A phone break is nice, but you know, like, I would have appreciated a heads up, especially considering that we just, you know, had this argument about this racist boyfriend that you're still hanging out with. So what's going on with that? And Beth said that George said he's not going to change. This is who he is, and etc. And I was like, okay. And so I didn't know what to do. And I would even look up articles because I've never been in a situation such as this before. I've never heard of anyone in a situation like this before. And the articles were only half helpful because none have been like this situation, which is another reason why I'm making this video. She chose him. She chose him. And that just sucks to grapple with. Like that stinks to just internalize. She chose a racist, disrespectful man over her best friend. And so the next time we talked about it, she just went on this thing that like everything was my fault, basically. She didn't talk to me for a while. She said, when she finally got back to me, okay, well, that's another thing. I was in the group chat with the mutual friend I mentioned earlier, not Tucker, but my female mutual friend. We were all in the group chat. No one was talking to me. I was pretty much talking to myself, and I was like, wow. And the mutual friend and Beth were still hanging out. Nobody was hanging out with me from that friend group. So I was like, So did everyone's on her side or what? And I was like, and are me and Beth just not friends anymore? Like, what is this? Because like I was talking actively in the group chat and like no one was getting back to me. The mutual friend was busy. Her major was super demanding, right? So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. But Beth was just pretty much absent. She would reply once every 2 days or something like that. And I'm like, like, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. So then I had to hear from a mutual friend that Beth, as recent as the day before, mind you, this is 2 or 3 weeks after Beth first ignored me, right? Because after the whole situation, Beth ignored me for like about 2 weeks and was still hanging out with George. So 2 or 3 weeks after that, I had to hear from a mutual friend that Beth told that mutual friend that Beth and I aren't friends anymore because of personality differences. And so that was my final straw. That's when I was like, okay, not only do I find out from some third party that you're saying that we're not friends anymore, but you're lying about the reason why. What are personality differences? Your boyfriend is racist and you don't want to confront that fact. And looking at me and being my friend makes you so fucking guilty that the dick is so good over there that you can't even look at me, your black friend, who we've been best friends for 10 years and your fucking boyfriend is actively disrespecting me racially. The clothes I wear, how I behave, like he would always say, after he started being a dickwad, he would always say, Aaliyah's annoying. Like out of nowhere, like it just came out of nowhere. And so I'm like, how could you say this is a personality difference? And she's like, no, I realized through this situation and through my ignoring you that I'm better without you. I'm like better off. I don't feel any guilt or shame. I just feel so good. Throughout the duration of our friendship, you've always shamed me and made me feel like garbage. And you've always, I don't know, like called me out, and I just felt so light when I wasn't talking to you. And you remind me of my parents. and you guilting and shaming me was just a way to make me do what you wanted. That's what she said to me. And I was like, Beth, me telling you ways that you've hurt me is me shaming you and manipulating you to do what I want? Does that make sense, Beth? Beth, me telling you that your boyfriend said I have shit skin, that I'm as black as a burnt chocolate chip on a black chocolate cookie, that is me shaming you to do something that I want? And mind you, I told her time and time again, I'm not telling you to break up with him. I'm not. I don't know the solution to this problem. Which in reality, I did know the solution. The solution was she had to choose, obviously. Now this is your best friend of 10 years, or this is some new guy you just met a year ago. Who are you gonna choose? And this guy is disrespectful. He embarrasses you in public, right? He's the type of guy who yells at waitresses for forgetting his fork or his Coke. Like he's embarrassing and he's disrespectful and he has like no home training. And I'm like, please explain to me how I shame you and how I've always made you feel shame. And she's like bringing up stuff I did in the past, making me feel bad about it. And mind you, she knows how my trauma works. She knows I can't speak up immediately when something bothers me. So it takes me a couple days. And in some rare cases, it took me a month to be like, hey, remember back at Starbucks when you pushed me? That was fucked up. I've never pushed you before. I've never intentionally did anything physical to you ever. Fucked up, bro. And then it makes her feel so bad that she's a bad person. And that's what I just had to come to realize once I stopped gaslighting myself. She's just a bad person. And like that pains me to say because throughout our friendship, I've always been so committed to her growth because I saw growth. I saw it. I was like, wow, she's really becoming a better person. And then that note she wrote me on Christmas, thank you for calling me out. I'm becoming a better person. And the only difference is now there's this guy. And I even told her that. I was like, the only difference between now and when you wrote that letter is this guy. And she told me, no. The letter, I was confused about your tactics. I thought it was helping me, but it turns out it was just hurting me and whatever. And I'm like, how are you just now figuring this out? Like, I've always been like this. And I paused for a second because I just had to think, I've literally always been like this. This has always been my way of friendship. I am one of the most loyal, trusting, giving, generous, open-minded, welcoming, like people ever. And I'm just always down for a long conversation. And I call my friends out because I want to make an environment where if I fuck up, they feel no reservations calling me the fuck out. And like she never called me out for anything except, get this, I vented to her because I have a family history of narcissism, right? I vented to her crying. I think I might be a narcissist, bro. Like, I have this sense of self-importance. I want this like grandiose future. Like, I want to be famous. It runs in my family. And I think those were the only similarities. But I was still so worried that I was a fucking narcissist. And I was crying. And she was like, maybe you are one or whatever. And I was like, maybe. This was early in my psychology career. So then I learned a lot more, right? I learned a lot more about narcissism. And those are the only two fucking things that I have, right? I am the biggest fucking crybaby about any news story, especially involving kids. And I was like, wait a minute, how am I a narcissist if I am this swamped in empathy? I cry so much just at people getting hurt. I cried so bad with Kobe Bryant. Like, I was like, wait, if I only have 2 symptoms, this like sense of self-importance, and mind you, I think that I only pathologize my sense of self-importance is because all my life people had knocked me down, right? And told me like, I'm not shit, I'm never gonna be shit. So it felt wrong for me to pedestalize myself. And even now, sometimes it feels wrong for me to prioritize myself. And so that's why in my brain, I pathologize my own confidence and my own sense of self-importance, which isn't a fucking disorder. I'm allowed to feel like I'm an important person. I'm allowed to feel like I matter, and I'm allowed to prioritize myself. And so during this argument where I was like, bro, like you, like, you know, and she's like, you've always made me feel guilt and shame and whatever. She's like, and you're a narcissist. And like, I'm like, again, this is just like the straight C's thing. Something I vent to you about, you bring it up and try and weaponize me with it. This is a pattern. Like, this is what you do. This is what you do. And so I'm not saying that I'm a fucking perfect friend. Like, I can be an asshole too. Every person on the planet has the capacity to be an asshole. All I'm saying is I try really, really, really fucking hard. More than the next guy, I would say. More than a lot of people, I would say again, to not be an asshole. I try really hard and I walk on eggshells around everyone to not hurt their feelings. And that's even why it takes me a long time sometimes to bring something up that you said that hurts me, because I'm thinking more about your feelings than my own. And especially with Beth, I know that when you call her out, it fucks her up. She's like, fine, I'll just stop talking for like a week. And it's like, bro, you don't have to do that. I'm just letting you know. Stop. That's all I'm saying. And I saw the growth. Beth got better. Beth stopped hurting my feelings. And then I guess this one last thing, her not being able to let go of this racist boyfriend, and me obviously not being able to cope with that made her feel the guilt and shame. And like just seeing my black face and knowing she had a racist boyfriend just awoke in her all of this guilt and shame. And so her boyfriend, George, literally sent me, she heard from a mutual friend that I was talking about them. And so she told her boyfriend, George. And so George DM'd me, listen, bitch, get over it. You know, no one cares about you. You're nothing. You don't matter. You're a piece of shit. You're garbage. And then someone from another number messaged me, seriously though, bro, no one cares about you. You're garbage. You're terrible. You're trash. N-word. And it sounds the same exact way that this boyfriend talks. So it was definitely him, right? And if it wasn't him, like Beth said, Beth was like, oh, because I told Beth, Beth's like, that's not him. That's one of his friends. If it wasn't him, still, this fucking proves that he's racist, because either A, it's him and he called me the N-word, or B, it's his friend who doesn't know me, who I don't know, who he told, by the way, she's a black bitch, so call her the N-word. Either way, he's racist. And she's fine with it. And they're still dating. And it's like, I didn't make this video because I care about the situation or about her anymore. This is a burned bridge. There's no coming back from this. This is like, the bridge is gone. Like, the bridge has been obliterated. It's been burned. I will never speak to this person again, Beth or George. I don't ever want to see them again. They make me uncomfortable. Like, no. No.
Most of us, if our friendships break, we want to fix them. So if something's broken so bad that it's just over, oftentimes there's a betrayal involved, right? There's a betrayal of trust. There's something that you thought that they would never do or say and they did or said it, or that you did. Let's take those one at a time. Let's start with if your friend hurt you, they betrayed you, they devastated you, trust is gone, and you're not going to reconcile. If that's the case, the first thing is to mourn. Don't say it's no big deal. Don't say it's their loss, that idiot, and just try and move on like it didn't happen. You suffered a loss. Acknowledge it. The simple act of acknowledging how hard it is, how much it sucks. And yeah, sure, you'll probably vent and you're probably angry. Depending on your circumstance, that's fine to do with family and friends, or if you're not looking to ruin the other person, you might want to do it with a therapist. But you can vent and let out that anger, but recognize that underneath that anger is hurt, is grief, is a sense of loss. Just because you're mad at them, just because they betrayed you, doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, right? You might think it's just anger and they're a bastard and they just deserve my rage. Be in touch with that vulnerability. Be in touch with, no, this really hurts. Or don't be in a rush to say, hey, it didn't work out, but I still love them. It's great if you land there. It's okay. It's good to love people, period. Even our enemies, even people you're never going to have contact with again. It's good to feel love and to let go of bitterness and anger and rage. But we don't just let it go. I like to say that forgiveness is not a one-time thing. Forgiveness is how we deal with the hurt and the ire and the enmity and the rage and the bitterness. Every time those feelings come up, we purge them through forgiveness. Forgiving isn't letting someone back in. It's not restoring them back to where they were. You can forgive someone and never talk to them again. Because talking to them again is trust. Having a relationship, that's trust. And if there's no trust, you don't need to have a relationship. Forgiveness is how you purge all that poison out of your system. And you do that over and over and over again. As time goes on, you can start to transition towards gratitude. Gratitude for the good times. Gratitude for the things you learned. Gratitude for the memories you made and how this person helped you to grow. Whether through their finer points or through their less fine points, sometimes we learn from people's bad behavior more than their good behavior. And we can be grateful for that. Now you may think, what is there to be grateful for? It's all tarnished. It's all sullied. Every good memory is now ruined. My experience is that every friendship teaches us a little bit about our own humanity. Sometimes we're friends with people who we realize, I don't want to be like that person. Sometimes we're friends with people who bring out an ugly side in us. It's all instruction, as long as we see it as such and we pivot and make choices to be different or to learn or to grow.
I'm not making this video to air Beth or George out. If I wanted to, I could. I got receipts for everything, right? If I wanted to. This video is for me. And I say this because when I posted what George said to me on my story, it made Beth really mad. And Beth hit me up. Now people are asking me if I'm okay and they think I'm a racist apologist. And she was super pissed at me. And I'm like, how about you save this vitriol and this anger and this embarrassment for the reason, the cause of it, your racist boyfriend. If he didn't call me the N-word, I wouldn't have anything to post on my story. And how are you more worried about your reputation than your best friend? And so this is how I just came to the conclusion after much thought that Beth is just a bad fucking person, I think. Because there's no other explanation for it. And I'm tired of gaslighting myself. Because for a week and a half, I was like distraught and I was crying and I was like, oh my God, Beth is right. I've always shamed Beth. When Beth hurt my feelings, I should have just shut my mouth. When Beth would do fucking terrible things to me, if I never would have brought anything up, we'd still be friends now. But guess what? That's not fucking healthy. Yeah, we'd still be friends, but I'd still be getting hurt every step of the way. If I'd never called her out for anything, who knows what kind of monster she'd be today. And so I don't understand how me telling somebody how they've hurt me is me shaming them. I don't get how that works. And I'm done gaslighting myself about it. And so this video is kind of just for me to to say my last piece on the situation and open this new chapter of my life, because I'm in my new apartment, which I'm so excited about, because this is a new chapter of my life. And so I'm just leaving old, toxic, rotten apples in the past, because Beth tried to convince me that I was the fucking problem. And I believed Beth. I believed Beth for about 2 weeks. I was like, I am the worst person. And I was like, if I never brought up what George had said, we'd still be friends now. And then like everybody took Beth's side, by the way. They're all white, by the way, so there's that. Yeah, everybody took Beth's side. So I was like, wow, well, if more people were on your side, it would be easier to question if you are actually the victim in all of this or not. But I'm like, well, everybody seems to be taking her side, so it must be me who's in the wrong, just like she said. But thinking about it more than like 10 seconds, no. Beth failed me as a best friend. Beth failed me as a friend. And something Beth said to me, why didn't you call him out as soon as he said that to you? And that's a good fucking question. And like I explained, the way my trauma works, when I hear something shocking, I shut down. But if Beth were ever watching this, I'd want to ask her, why didn't she say anything after I told her about it? Instead of snitching on me, Aaliyah doesn't want to be my friend anymore because she thinks you're racist and disrespectful. Why didn't you just stand up for me once? Like, the situation could have been so different had you actually acted like, not even just a best friend, had you actually acted like a friend and like stood up for me. You just, no. I'm just in disbelief. This video, I just want to fucking reiterate the fact that this isn't to air out anyone's dirty laundry. This is a video about myself, for myself, so I can bury the hatchet and put all of this behind me to start this new chapter. I don't want to say anyone's a victim or a perpetrator in this situation. Obviously George is a perpetrator, but between Beth and I, the way I left things with her, I just said, I don't want to gaslight your reality, and, you know, don't gaslight mine. And one of the last things she said to me was, and this was after her boyfriend or her boyfriend's friend sent me the N-word, she almost justified it by saying, well, I heard you've been telling people about this situation and I told you not to. And I just got fed up. So yeah, I told George about it, but I didn't tell George to talk to you at all. And I will talk to him about that. And that just told me everything I needed to know. Now, in my self-hating phase, I did send her like a voice message of me crying, because I wrote in my scrapbook, because I have a scrapbook, 10 years of memories with us. So I just thought it was fitting for the last page of us to just be me, writing down all of the good things about our relationship, right? And owning up to some of the bad things, right? Because I was kind of annoying, like a little bit. Like, I'm gonna own up to that. I was a little bit annoying because she had anger issues, right? And I always thought it was like kind of bullshit. So I would do like little annoying things and then she would get really mad. I was childish, I don't know. But yeah, so I owned up to that. I was like, bro, I'm sorry for like all that annoying shit I used to do when I would do little fucking pet peeves of yours to get you mad on purpose. And I'm sorry that, like, you know, the times when you'd be positive and I'd be like negative, because I would be really hard on myself, especially when it came to my grades and stuff. And like the fact that I had no motivation usually ever, and she would try to motivate me to do things, and she would try to like make me apply myself, and I'd be like, no, not gonna do that. And that's fucking really annoying. So I give her props for putting up for me during that, putting up with me during that, because I was really annoying. I would be like, wow, I can't fucking get a good grade on anything. And she'd be like, okay, well, get up right now and study. And I'd be like, nah. That's fucking frustrating. So I give her props for putting up with that. And like, I just owned up to everything fucking terrible I did in our friendship. And I thought she would return the favor. I thought she would do the same thing, but no, she just blocked me, which is funny. Not really, but you know, a friend told me that my closure is things making sense. And so the only way I could get closure from this situation is if everything makes sense to me, right? And so I feel like I'm 99% of the way to closure. And it's not like one of those things where I'm stuck on it because I miss her so much. I'm so stuck on it because I miss what we had so much. No, it's like one of those things where my friend has music. This guy I used to work with, he has music. And one line in his song was, quote, "I'm not stuck on you. I'm just stuck on how you fucking hurt me."
Let me play the victim role for the problems that you always make. I stayed with you through all the bullshit, and my heart was drained, and you couldn't even apologize for all your mistakes. The only reason why I lied, cause I thought you would judge me. You put me through a lot of pain, so you really didn't love me. But it's cool now, cause I'm single and I'm getting money, and I'm not stuck on you. I'm just stuck on how you fucking treated me. Gave you my all, but that was really stupid of me.
That I feel like sums it up pretty well. Like, I'm not stuck on the relationship at all. Like, obviously if she could let me go that easy, especially taking the side of a racist who she's known for a year, then the relationship was bullshit the whole time. Like, the relationship was worthless, you know? And that's another thing I've been telling myself, like, I'm not worthless, the relationship was. Because when she just discarded me like that, right? She ignored me for 2 weeks, and then I called her out, and then she ignored me for 3 weeks, and then I had to call her out again, right? The way I rationalized that in my brain was, wow, I'm so worthless. I'm not even worth a goodbye. Like 10 years, I'm not even worth, sorry, this isn't gonna work out. I'm so worthless, a racist is worth more than me. You know? And so I've replaced that fucking negativity, that negative speech, which isn't true at all. Like, her choosing a racist, that's her problem. That's something she has to work out. That's something she has to figure out for herself, why she doesn't think she deserves like a respectful or respecting boyfriend. I don't know, that's something she can talk that out with a therapist, whatever. But I've realized that I am not worthless. I'm not. And I'm not a bad person.
So first of all, I want to get into loneliness. I've always been a lonely person because I've always been somebody with a different type of personality. And I've always felt like whenever I need somebody to defend me, to vouch for me, they can never do it. Because really think about it, most people can't even show their true personalities. So how can these weak-minded people ever defend me? So even when I'm grouped up with family and friends and all this, I just have it in the back of my mind that if something was to happen right now, you couldn't even go to bat for me because you're such a weak person. You know, when when you're a strong person, you need someone stronger to protect you. And so when you're the strongest person in the room, the most strong-minded person in the room, you feel so lonely. I feel like everybody around me is a complete letdown. Like, you can't abandon your beliefs and choose me. I feel unchosen. I feel unchosen by my family, my friends. I feel unchosen by the world. And that is very depressing, y'all. That is very depressing.
And our relationship wasn't ruled in shame, but I'm not gonna gaslight her reality if that's how she feels now, which very convenient, right? But if that's how she feels, then that's how she feels. One of the last things I said to her was, I'm not gonna gaslight your reality. I'm not gonna argue with you that I was never like that. If that's how you think and that's how you feel, then that's fine. That can be Beth's reality. That can be what Beth thinks. That could be Beth's world. That's on Beth. And I was like, you also can't gaslight my reality. This all is very convenient timing for you to realize that I was always really toxic and I was always shaming you and I always made you feel bad and I remind you of your parents and all of this stuff. And it's like so weird because whenever she'd be fighting with her parents, she would come to either my house or my job and just chill and relax with me. Sis, you're retconning yourself. I don't know. It's fine. But, like that one friend told me, my closure is things making sense. And I've pretty much made 99% sense of it. And I hate thinking in binaries and black and white. And I hate to think that she was just this awful person this whole time. And that our relationship was meaningless. That's how she left it, though. That's the impression I get by how she left it. But you can't fake some of the things that were said and some of the things that we did and the trust and the love. You can't fake that. You can't fake some of that stuff. So it was real. And I wasn't always even in her own reality, she has to admit I was not this shame person, whoop-da, whoop-de-da, whatever the fuck. She has to be able to realize that, because if that were the case, she is one of the greatest actresses of all time. If that were the case, she is one of the most compartmentalizing, expert compartmentalizer and expert actress of all time. You can't fake our relationship. You can't fake that. Those 10 years, you cannot fake that. And that's not to say people in abusive relationships for 10 years, obviously it wasn't that bad if they stayed for 10 years. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just telling you genuinely and honestly, I don't think I was that bad, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna gaslight her reality. If that's what she thought, then that's what she thought. My purposes in making this video, I just wanna encourage you that if you were going through a similar situation and your friend is acting like Beth, it's not worth it. You have to move on. You have to move on. You have to move on, because it's not worth it. And you're not worthless if you're the one who gets left, right? So it might not be a racist situation, right? It might be something else. Maybe they're just disrespectful in every other way, right? If you have a boyfriend and he always makes misogynist jokes, at some point you just have to sit with the fact and cope with the fact your boyfriend may just be a misogynist. And it's the same thing with racist jokes. That's your humor, really? That's all you got? Racist jokes? You might just be racist. And then the thing about his racist jokes were there was never a punchline. So it was just racism. And so I want to end this video positively by saying what I learned from this situation was that I am not fucking worthless. Nothing good can last forever. If it lasts forever, it wasn't good. There's just no feasible way that something good can last forever. And I learned that the hardest way ever. Not with this situation, with another situation, but nothing good can last forever. And that you have to work on your codependency. Because while this was happening, I thought my world was ending. Because I couldn't imagine a world where this person wasn't in my life, Beth. I never would have thought, and especially not like this. You know, that's the biggest thing about it, and that's the biggest reason why it stuck with me and hit me so hard, because I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, and the fact of the matter is, if I had just let him be racist to me, we probably would still be friends right now, like nothing ever happened. And that's the part that hurts the worst, that leaves the deepest wound, the fact that I was pretty much punished for something that he did, and me, you know, like if you tell the teacher that you're being bullied, and then for some reason or another, you and the bully get like suspended for fighting, how is that fair? You know, it kind of feels something like that. But whatever, you know, I wish them all the best. I learned a lot from this experience. The biggest thing that I learned was that I am much fucking stronger than I thought. During this whole process, I was using my tarot cards. I was like, did I make the right decision? Trying to get like info on that. And every single fucking card was so affirming. Like, yes, you've made a choice. You made the right choice, but, you know, and then even the days leading up to the fucking fight, right? Before the racist shit even happened, I kept getting these messages. A new cycle is about to start. You have to leave the old stuff behind. Anything that doesn't serve you, you have to leave behind. The new cycle is about to start. And so I was like, what can all this mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And it was like, you have to leave old people behind and all this stuff. And I was like who? Like what? Huh? And then the situation happened and it just answered everything for me. And then after it happened, use the cards again. You made the right choice. You are starting this cycle. Here you go. You are on the right path. And I'm like, well, thank fucking God. And now that I'm done with this video, I feel like I can completely leave this whole situation in the past. I just feel like something good has to come out of this.
You may not be able to save this relationship, but you can have healthier relationships in the future because you learned some dark things about yourself and you're going to make different choices moving forward. The biggest thing in all of this, whether someone hurt you or you hurt somebody or you both hurt each other and the relationship is over, is to look at yourself and how you're going to be different moving forward because of this. Otherwise, it truly was in vain. Otherwise, you truly lost this relationship and have nothing to show for it. If at the very least you learn something that will help you in future relationships, I'm going to be more kind, I'm going to be more compassionate, I'm going to be less judgmental, I'm going to stand up for myself more, I'm going to assert myself more, I'm going to be accountable, whatever you learned. Or these are red flags of people that I'm dealing with, and if they are displaying these red flags, I don't want to get too close to them. And I should have paid attention to that the first time, but I didn't, and I got burned, so I'm not going to do that in the future. Whatever you learned, like ask yourself, what did I learn from this relationship? And you may not want to right now. You may not want to look at it because it's too painful, but I urge you to do so while it's still fresh, while you still have the details, while you haven't settled into a narrative that's now months or years old that may not be exactly what happened. And no one has a perfect view of exactly what happened, but the closer you are to it, if you can self-soothe, so you're not in a place of arousal, if you can self-soothe and try and see it clearly, then you can say, what did I learn from this? What am I taking from this? I think we can endure almost anything if we have a purpose. And sometimes we have to give things a purpose. And asking yourself, what do I take from this to be better next time? Whether you're responsible or the other person is or both, asking yourself that question gives this situation purpose and will help you in relationships moving forward.
Something good has to come out of everything I fucking went through in those months, right? It was finals week. Why did I have to lose my best friend during finals week over something I didn't do? And then have it then turned into my fault that I was always this toxic person, and oh no, I complained about, you know, no one being there for me when I was in a crisis a couple times, and I complained that I'm the only one who talks in the group chat. I'm such a fucking bad friend. I'm such a bad fucking person. No, I'm not. I'm fine. I'm a fine friend and I'm a fine person. It's just that I remind you of your failures as a friend. I am a living reminder of how you don't know how to treat people. And I think that's the biggest message of them all. This was all a situation of projection, and it just really sucks that it had to end like this. I wish it could have ended better, but I've learned so many valuable lessons, such as my own inner strength. I never knew I was this strong, but I'm so glad I found out that I was, because I needed to know that. I'm so fucking glad that I found out that I'm this fucking strong, because I thought I would never make it out of that. I thought I would be in the dumps and depressed and sad forever over losing my best friend to a racist guy. But no, I just feel so whole and so fresh and so starting new, and I just feel so good. I just feel, that's it. So if you could relate at all to anything I said, make sure you leave a comment. Please, my closure is things making sense. So if you can make sense of anything, like you have experience or some fucking thing, or you can relate or anything like that, please leave a comment and let me know what you think. I will be reading literally every fucking comment, because I need this closure, and we're like almost 100% there. And I'm just so happy that I finally did this video and I can finally leave all of this behind me, and I can just smile, and it just feels like an elephant's off my chest. And thank you guys so much for listening to me, and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.